So welcome to another webinar with Council for the Homeless. This one is about our winter shelter in Clark County and how you can help keep people warm and safe this winter. I'm really glad you can join us tonight. My name is Laura Ellsworth and I'm the Public Policy and Engagement Manager at Council for the Homeless. And my pronouns are she, her, hers. And we really do appreciate you being here to learn about everything that happens in the winter months to shelter folks and how you can help. We have a great panel for you tonight that's going to help share out some information about how emergency winter shelter works, what they need from the community to help their efforts, and just how everything kind of operates as we go through the next few months here. Emergency shelter in the winter months is truly a community collaborative effort, and the folks that you'll be hearing from tonight are critical partners in that. So I see a lot of new folks here tonight, so thank you so much for joining us. And as we get started, I just have a few reminders for folks. The only people that you see and hear are us panelists and hosts. This is a webinar as opposed to a regular Zoom meeting when everyone is in their little Brady Bunch boxes. So please post any questions that you might have in the chat, and we will do our best as we go through the evening to get those questions answered. This webinar is going to be recorded and shared out afterwards on our website, and you can view those recordings on our website listed on this slide. There's also past recordings, and so please feel free to check that out. And then lastly, there is a survey that will appear in your browser at the end of the webinar tonight. It's just a couple of questions, but we really do appreciate you taking it and just providing feedback for us. It keeps us accountable, making sure that we're actually covering what you came here to find out about, and also it helps give us ideas for future topics. So our agenda for tonight, we're going to be discussing emergency shelter capacity in Clark County, how the homeless crisis response system responds during the winter months, and also during snow or ice or extreme cold. How emergency shelter is used as an entry opportunity to resolve homelessness in the long run, and lastly, how you can help. So year-round, Clark County has 368 emergency shelter beds available for folks. So this includes places like Share House, Share Orchards Inn, Homestead, and Bertha's Place. There are others as well. Those shelters operate year-round. But to give you a better picture of the supply of shelter versus the demand for it, in 2022, around 2,400 households asked for emergency shelter, and about 1,800 households were able to access it. So during the winter, in addition to those year-round shelters, the community is able to add another 84 beds through the efforts that you'll be learning about tonight. So here's where those additional 84 beds come from. And you can really just see what a collaborative effort this is that reaches many parts of our community. And it's important to know that the added beds are a combination of nightly emergency shelter from November through March through the WHO and the satellite overflow shelters, and then additional beds that open up during the severe cold weather events consisting of below freezing temperatures or snow or ice. So the winter hospitality overflow sites consist of St. Andrew Lutheran Church, which shelters single women, couples, and families, and St. Paul Men's Shelter, which shelters single men. And the WHO is actually amazingly entering their 21st year this year, which is incredible. So the WHO is open November 1st through March 31st, and each site holds, well, between the two of them, I think around 60 beds. People looking for shelter at the WHO will get referred there by calling the Council for the Homeless Housing Hotline. And I also just want to say that St. Paul Men's Shelter is actually open year-round, but during November through March, they are a part of the WHO overall effort. So then during the coldest months of the year, and this year the dates are November 19th through March 16th, the satellite overflow shelters open up. And between these three sites, which are River City Church, Emmanuel Lutheran Church, and Beautiful Savior Lutheran Church, guests can have a place to sleep all 7 nights of the week if they choose. And the guests in these shelters are also referred through the Council for the Homeless Housing Hotline. And each shelter site has about 15 beds available to them as well. Then when severe weather is called, meaning below 32 degrees, snow or ice is in the forecast, these additional sites are opened up depending on their ability and capacity to do so. And it's important to note that these sites operate with volunteers and donated food and supplies, so it's up to them to determine if they have the capacity to open. But these sites are always watching the forecast and getting prepared, oftentimes several days in advance when we can see the weather coming. And when the time comes and we ask if they can open, they are almost always ready to say, we are open. So speaking of being ready, here's the process for calling severe weather and putting out the word to the shelters that they are needed and to the community so that people know about it. So Council for the Homeless staff watch several different weather apps and get guidance from the Northwest Weather Service and CRESA when cold weather is in the forecast. And once we can be reasonably sure that there is a high likelihood of severe cold weather, Council for the Homeless makes the call and sends an email to severe weather partners asking them to let us know if they can open, what their hours will be, logistics like whether or not they can accept pets, any other information that we need to share out with the community. Then Council for the Homeless notifies the hotline staff, the street outreach teams, community partners, local government, the media, and as information comes in, we continuously update everyone involved. And this is also when you might see through things like social media, calls for volunteers or requests for donations and supplies. And also social media is the best way to kind of stay on top of the latest information when it comes to a severe weather event. So the Council for the Homeless, Facebook and Instagram, Outsiders In, the WHO, everybody is always putting out information. Live Love is as best as they can during those times. And also, I'd just like to take a quick moment to remind folks here tonight that people who stay in emergency shelter are still homeless. And this can sometimes be surprising and sobering. Emergency shelter is not housing, and a person staying in shelter isn't housed. But I want to clearly say that our emergency shelter beds not only save lives and provide the most basic of human needs, not the least of which is a bridge of hope for people, but they are absolutely needed and critical, and they're just a part of addressing homelessness in the community. And by integrating our system so that folks accessing emergency shelter in the winter months also get entered into our HMIS database and connected to housing programs and other services, our system can actually be accountable to making sure that there is a no wrong door approach to helping someone resolve their homelessness. And so by centering the work around the data and the planning, we're able to get people connected to housing programs while they access emergency shelter. And I was just on a call a couple of days ago with somebody from the WHO who said that last year in 2022, 35 households that had been sheltered at the WHO over the course of the season actually got into housing. And I know that that's true at all of the shelters. That's just an example of one of them, which is really great. And in this way, emergency shelter programs do give people the opportunity to meet their most basic needs so that they can work on what is needed to exit homelessness. All right, so now to the good stuff. There are so many ways that you can help. We are going to hear from our panel in just a moment, but in general, here are some things to consider. You can donate money directly to the shelters providing these services. You can sign up to volunteer, you can donate meals, or you can donate cold weather supplies for the outreach teams to hand out, or for the shelters to have on hand for folks. A lot of times they like to be able to give supplies out as folks are leaving shelter in the mornings. And after our webinar tonight, you will each receive an email with a link to our website, which is listed here. So feel free to jot this down as well. And I'll try to post it in the chat a little bit later too. But there are links on our website to all of the locations of the panelists that you'll be hearing about tonight. And so you can just go to each one and see if they are signing up for shift volunteers for shelter or meals. You know, I think all of the pages have ways to donate financially as well. So it's another way that you can just take a closer look at each site. And then another big need for this year in particular is blankets and bedding across the board, but especially I know Living Hope Church is in need of blankets. I know another big need this year is laundry services. The costs of doing laundry in particular are just higher than they have ever been. And so if anyone has connections or would like to fund some laundry, I know that would be extremely, extremely helpful for folks, for the shelter providers. And then additionally, supplies, donations of supplies for the outreach teams can be accepted at the Housing Solutions Center with Council for the Homeless. They can always use the standard cold weather items like hats, mittens, hand warmers, warm socks, you know, you name it. Again, I think blankets, I'll say that again. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And then I'm going to do a special shout out before we get to our panel tonight, to our friends in Washougal. They are often on their own a little bit more because of their geography in terms of being away, kind of far away from Vancouver City Center, and then the weather implications of being located closer to the Columbia Gorge. Often ice and wind can be more severe out there, and there could be times when they get hit with winter weather and then the rest of Clark County doesn't. So, or sometimes it's vice versa too, which is odd. But anyways, Washougal they are a little bit of a climate of their own. And so they're always looking for volunteers for the shelter when it opens, and also help with providing meals and donations of supplies. And common supplies that they're in need of are scent-free laundry detergent, quarters for doing laundry, flat twin-size sheets, hand warmers, and actually the other thing that they're looking for this season is that they want to do, which is I think really cool, is to buy some boot warmers for their guests so that they can have warm, dry boots in the morning. So this is just a plug not to forget them and the wonderful work that they are doing at Refuel Washougal. And there is an email address here where you can email them and get in touch and start making arrangements if you would like. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to hear from our wonderful panel tonight. Yes, thank you, Ryan, for posting that. Yeah, boot warmers. So boot warmers, they were actually in that picture on that slide, but they're these little things that you like plug in, and there's stands and you put your boots on them and then they heat up, and then they dry out and warm up the boot. So, because usually they're just really wet from being out in the rain and elements. So, okay, well, this is for at the shelters. So the shelters do have electricity. Yeah, all good. Thank you. All right. So I'm just going to go around the Zoom room here, and I think I'm going to start out with Jane Seidel from the WHO. Can you talk to the folks about what a typical evening at the shelter looks like as far as, you know, just volunteering? What sorts of things do people do?
Well, the shelters opens at 6:30, and the guests they'll be signed in at the front desk, and we have a staff from Share who does they're now called eligibility. I'm sorry, I just call them case managers because they've always been case managers, but their job is to evaluate at each person who comes. The first time they come, like tonight is the first night of our shelter, so everyone who comes will have an intake, and they have extra staff on hand so that everyone can have their first intake tonight. And that is designed to, first of all, explain to them what the parameters and the boundaries are in the shelter in St. Andrew, that they can't come in before 6:30. They have to, if they're going to be late, they have to call, and they have to leave by 8 in the morning. Those are just 3 basic ones, but there's other behavioral ones and so forth. And then the next part of the intake would be to try and identify what barriers they have. How did they become homeless? What are the barriers they have to gaining? They might be identification. It might be some kind of legal problems. There's all kinds of reasons for all kinds of people. And so that's an important part, an essential part, because then we can, the case managers can help the folks to take those steps that can get them into a much better position to be in permanent housing or even a long-term shelter, which again, you know, reduces the chaos that living without shelter is, and enables people to just take a breath. At least at our shelter, they take a breath from 6:30 till 8 the next morning. They might be able to make phone calls. They might be able to maybe do some looking for a job, all kinds of things, help kids with homework. And that's generally what they gain from being at the shelter. There's also food and showers and those kinds of things. But in my observation is, speaking as a person, and I'm always, it's important for me that people understand that I know I have been loved and protected my whole life long. The very idea that I would be able to relate to the experience of someone who doesn't have a house I just can't. I can say, how can I help? I can say, I'm sorry this is happening to you. How can I help? But I certainly can't say that I know how it feels to be in their position. And that's important to me, that people recognize that's not something most of us can do. So then people come trot into our main community room and have some dinner. Kids might be playing with some toys. We're in the process of getting a rocking chair and do a little reading, a reading corner or a quiet corner maybe. So moms and dads might be able to take a breath while one of our volunteers reads to a child or entertains them in some way. There's another opportunity, because the guests are also involved in decorating a mural for the gym. They've already done a third of it last year, and it's going to be they're having so much fun. They had so much fun doing it last year. And so they have 2/3 of it left to go, and it's going to hang in the gym, where I think almost everybody's bed or mat, whatever they're able to sleep on, can see it. It's kind of cool. So yeah. So, and then kind of trickle in, kids are staying up later maybe, or they've got some cranky kids and they can stay in the front part of the church if they can't get them to sleep in there. We're also hoping to have some dimming lights in the gym, and that's in our future. We do have some, we got a real fancy dimmer for the lights down the hallway. So when people get up in the middle of the night, they're not faced with this big bright light. We have new dividers, which are really, thank you, Ed and Dolly Lynch. Yay. We were able to get new dividers that do not look like, they are not in jailhouse green. They're beautiful blue and pale blue, and they have all kinds of designs on it that one of our Boy Scouts did his Eagle project on. So I'm excited to see how our guests will react to that, because you know, for like the last 4 years, it's been green plastic. So we're all excited about that, to create a better, more calming circumstance, less noise, all kinds of things that, again, designed to reduce that level of chaos and give people some calm time to spend. And then breakfast and out the door.
Yeah, right. And then yeah, so that's a really good picture of a typical evening at the shelter. Thank you so much for that, Jane. I think I'll stick with that question, and then I'll go over to Ren and Adam next. How about you all at the Satellite Overflow sites or St. Paul? And I'll say thank you, Sonia, for making me be accountable to giving better introductions of our panelists here. Adam and Ren are with St. Paul Men's Shelter and Outsiders Inn, and they help staff all of the satellite overflow shelters, which are at the 3 churches that provide that combined 7-night per week coverage through mid-November through mid-March. So this year, these are the beds that open up in addition to the food, but also include partially the food. So more beds. Adam and Ren.
I'll kind of take that. There is a little bit of difference. St. Paul's has been around for a long time, for like you said, 21 years. Part of the WHO long before we took it on as a year-round project. The coming to St. Paul's, we won't be having to do that opening and closing of the season. So, but if anybody was to come to be a new referral to St. Paul's the Men's Shelter, it would be very typical of everything that Jane said that we are providing. That it's a quiet, safe, comfortable shelter. We've done some renovations, bathrooms, and hallway painting, and always have those influx of volunteer meals coming through, which is part of what has always made that shelter kind of special. There is a little bit of difference with our satellite overflow shelter, which I will say kind of started the same way as we'll hear from other shelters tonight. It started as just a shelter that was needed to be open during severe weather, and it was just a group of volunteers and some text messages, and then people pulling supplies out of sheds to make some warm nights happen for whoever we could get in at a moment's notice during severe weather. So it started as a simple project, and now it is the combination of 3 churches coming together 7 nights a week. Folks come to a location. The only difference is with the satellite overflow is that folks will have to get used to 3 different locations. But once they become a guest for the season, there have been folks that come in November and stay with us all the way through March. And a lot of those folks are then either assisted into housing or placed into other shelters. But we do have folks that stay with us the whole season. They get used to the rotation. A typical night is the same as the other place. It is rudimentary. It's churches giving up their space and being gracious landlords. So it's gymnasium style, mats on the floor. We try to create community. We try to create a warm, welcoming space that's filled with hopefully more and vibrant volunteers this season, but filled at each of the locations with volunteers that really want to give and be part of the ministry at each of our congregations. The home cooked meals, the supplies, the relationships that happen. That's no one is just somebody that comes and goes and is never unnoticed. Everybody that comes through the door is someone we get to know, and we get to understand and get to support for as long as they choose to stay with us, and hopefully into housing. From like Laura mentioned, there has been, as we've grown as organizations and partners, we've really gotten to understand and how to navigate the system better and really utilize that system and wrap that around severe weather shelter as well. So it was a matter of bringing the system to the severe weather shelter. And with our outreach teams and our wraparound collaborative support with folks in the community, there are plenty of folks that have been able to transition straight from severe weather into housing or other options back to family and things like that. It is unfortunate that folks do have to leave throughout each day. That happens still at St. Paul's after 21 years. The guys still have to leave St. Paul's every day, but their stuff is safe in that location. With the satellite location, it is unfortunate folks have to take their stuff with them. So there is that need for laundry support, both for the organizations, all of us that are doing bedding and towels and things like that. We need the support because the prices have rose, but also the folks that are having to carry their belongings and go from these emergency shelters to emergency shelters. They don't have any support, and that's an ongoing problem for us and them to be able to support them. And where do they get laundry support? Because severe weather shelters are usually coming from a lot of giving and are not necessarily always funded from places of deep mechanisms, if that makes sense. So it's a lot of times the reason these happen is because of all the giving support from our landlords and the community and the folks and hopefully the business community as well. We can get more support around laundry support and things like that. Ren, what did I miss? Anything?
I'm like, no, it was so in the chat I had included some. So the volunteer tomorrow, that's what I'm sorry. Tomorrow we're getting together at Emmanuel to have a little bit of volunteer orientation. And so we can dive in deeper on how people can support at site level. But yeah, you were right. We rotate through the 3 different churches and have opportunity to stitch it all together through a lot of consistent effort on supporting the folks at each of the spaces. This year, our Emmanuel location has done some improvements around its shower, and so we're excited that that we'll be able to include a shower in this rotation beyond just a safe night to sleep. And so our expanded volunteer opportunities, and that will be supporting the shower and making sure that things are, towels and soap and all the other parts around the getting in and out of the unit can be supported. And so we're going to have some new space and opportunities around that. But we also have our meal trains. And so with the meal train, it's an opportunity for folks to bring their skills around cooking and to the hospitality of each of the church locations. And we support people who are community cooks by offering connection to food worker cards and food thermometers and things to be able to do it right and supported. And so these opportunities continue to grow to support this overflow shelter, because it's really important to have those extra 15 beds that can stay consistently connected and guided through. I know some of the people that were part of past years have been able to connect to those next steps. And sometimes it was reconnecting to family. Some people reconnected to other shelter beds that were more year round. And in the wintertime, everything becomes limited, those extra spaces. And so it's nice to be able to have a little bit of extra overflow and opportunity to get to know people and build a relationship with them as they come through our spaces, and to learn how we can deeper support them into connecting to those resources. Kind of like Jane was talking about with her case managers and stuff. We too in our spaces have that person who is a resource connector. And so as we learn what people are going through and what it is that their next steps might need to support with, we help guide them through some of that and empower them to connect to certain applications. And some people will hear myths about, oh, that might not be ready, or oh, just that's only available to certain people. And so sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just a matter of having the confidence to fill out those forms or to present a package of what's going on. We help connect people to legal support to maybe clear up past, eviction, things and things that were maybe a past due bill. And so sometimes these things seem like insurmountable challenges. And so we help connect them to some hope and beyond just the dry night and a safe spot to be. But then we also try to connect people to what those next steps are. And so it's pretty exciting. And yeah, I don't know. Is that?
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's just such a good example of, taking the opportunity when you are providing those most basic needs, and things are so much more intense in the winter and the cold. It really just it feels so much more urgent. But it's a good example of how it has evolved, from phone calls and texts, and what can we do when we have a week long blizzard that doesn't melt, and now just the evolution of not only are we providing 7-night a week added beds, but connections to all of those things that Brendan Adam and Jane have been talking about. And it's frustrating. I want to acknowledge what's happening in the chat. It is frustrating, and there is a demand, and the supply, we don't have enough, and you're sensing some of that frustration coming through. These are real lives. It's hard work. And the answer is a lot of times no. And the people in this room and those of you attending tonight want more than anything to say yes. And sometimes it is still things because we don't have the space, but we can do it together through this collaborative effort, and especially with a combination of the volunteers and just a caring community and folks really committed to moving forward proven solutions as well. So Brian, I'll go to you next, because your shelter is a little bit different in that you only open when we do have those events, the severe weather in the winter, which sometimes can mean clear and cold and windy, which is fine because the roads are clear, but then also includes when the roads are really hard to drive on and it's hard to get around, and your own staff and volunteers are risking their own safety, driving through all that and getting into the shelter and providing that space for people. So and you do things different. You don't do referrals to the hotline. You just open your doors. You're the lowest barrier shelter that we have. So can you tell us a little bit about what a typical night is for you and how you do it all?
Yeah, you did really well right there. First of all, I just want to thank all the other partners. Man, everyone does such great work. It's awesome. So thank y'all. So Live Love, which is a outreach effort from Living Hope Church. I should know this number. I'm going to say 10 plus years of doing warming shelter now, because I don't remember the exact year we're on. And it started out as just opening up. We knew we were in an old Kmart building. We had space and there were people that were struggling outside. So we opened up, and, that was many years ago, watched movies all night long, drank coffee with the guests, and it was just one kind of big party. Since then, we've gotten a lot more kind of what it's all about. And it's already been spoken about, hope. It's not just shelter. It's providing a place where people feel accepted where they're at. They can feel the love, even if it's for the 12 hours that they're here, through the volunteers, through getting a hot meal in your belly, through, we being where we're at right off a bus line, like you mentioned, or a passer through. We have people that stop by that maybe not stopping for the night, but they just want to come to get warmed up for the night, get a cup of coffee, and that's what a normal night looks like. We can hold up to, I think it's 70-ish people right now. Now, I say that loosely because if there was a severe blizzard, we've had it where we can get 100, almost 200 people at one time. That was a few years back, but so we're always kind of open to, there could be something a lot bigger, but on a normal night, we house about 70. That's it. I mean, like you said, the challenges are, I have such superb volunteers. I mean, they're the ones that make it work. And we're always looking for more volunteers, but like you said, if there's snow on the ground, they find a way here. Or we always have somebody who's got a big 4x4 that's willing to go pick people up. And or we're again being right off Andreessen, usually a bus can make its way here, and we've had people do that. We've had people stay the night because of the weather. It's just a beautiful community of, and we all know that. I mean, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here. Everyone steps up, and I just want to thank our community, thank our partners, and it's awesome. So
And what's the status?
I think it's already been mentioned. We do dinner, we do the hot breakfast. You know, the other thing that makes us kind of unique that people may not know is 2020, we had a school that was getting kind of, I don't want to say the word kicked down, but they were going to become a orphan school. They had no place to hold classrooms. So the church said, yeah, come on in. And that makes us really unique in the way of, you know, we're always going to be that style of church where that doesn't affect our outreach efforts by any means. The school was totally welcome. In fact, they sent volunteers our way when we do open. But what that does is we usually have to have people out a little earlier during the school days just because kids are coming in. But you know, we're always going to continue doing that stuff. That's where our leadership is. That's where our heart is. And yeah.
Right, yeah. And do you want to tell the people what any particular supply needs that you have for this season? I know we mentioned blankets. Feel free to.
Yeah, like you mentioned, blankets, which you'll see a Facebook post tomorrow. I know I saw a lot of my friends on the participants, but Walmart has these really cool fleece blankets for like $3. So I think if anybody wants to help me go, I don't know, buy 8,000 of those. No, we could probably get away with if we got 100 of those. I think we can feel good for the season because as some of you may know, the FEMA blankets can't really be washed properly. So they're kind of a one-time use. And when you open up not consecutively so people can continue using the same blanket, they kind of end up getting trashed after each cold spell. So you can go through 100 blankets really quickly. So looking to find something that can be more washed and reused is going to be great for us. So.
Okay. Awesome. And I do want to just take a quick moment. I know we have some activity in the chat going on right now, and I do want to just send out a reminder to keep things respectful as we are all gathered here tonight, really to, create some good things for folks in as much as we can this winter. So it is distracting to the attendees tonight. So please just, I ask in the chat, please be respectful. Otherwise, we will need to remove you from the so thank you for that. I just want to say I hear the frustration and you know what this webinar is about, things that are being done to help folks and how the community can step up to help as well. So, thank you everyone for your understanding. Appreciate it. All right. Well, do y'all want to get into specifics about volunteer shifts or like cooking meals? I know that's something that I saw in on each of your websites. Do you have a need for that? I know Jane in particular, the WHO, St. Andrew, different churches oftentimes take like a week at a time and they provide meals. But if there's anything specific that you want to call out right now, now's your opportunity.
Well, one of the things that happened for us at St. Andrew, it was a gift of COVID because we were trying to figure out how we could include people and keep everybody safe. And so I decided, well, I'll just send out a sign up for meals because we never did that before. Just as you said, Laura, we normally relied on the individual group to provide that. Within easily 36 hours, it was filled. The whole month was filled. And people were calling me saying, it's filled. I need to sign up. These were people who had previously not been able to sign up because they were ill, they worked, they had kids, they just weren't able to take a shift. And this gave them an opportunity to help. And I'm telling you, it's been wonderful for us. It's been wonderful. And it's for them as well, because of course, you think you know what's going on, but I had no idea that there were this many people that wanted to help in this way and couldn't. The shifts used to require at St. Andrew quite a bit more heavy lifting, if you will. But over the years, we've kind of developed, and now we don't. The shifts are not as strenuous as they were, but we still are keeping that group of people that want to come in and they want to bring a hot dish and they want to bring, they want to bring cupcakes or whatever. And so that's part of this experience for me, certainly, and also for the guests, because the guests pretty much get to know the people who are bringing in. And so they'll see somebody and say, oh, did you bring stuffed cabbages tonight? I mean, and because they know that this is the lady with the stuffed cabbages, or this is the one who brings a really good spaghetti. And that is one of the community building things that happens with absolutely no input from anybody. It just happens spontaneously. And our volunteers are what provides that for the guests and for each other. And it's pretty amazing. But that's how we do it at St. Andrew. And woe betide me if I ever stop doing that sign up. I mean, I wouldn't want to even venture a guess about the blowback.
I think Adam and Ren have something to say.
You are not kidding. It has been a big blessing for folks that I think that a lot of different capacity. Some people are very hands-on and they like to be, involved in it. And then some folks are, they've got meals to share and they've got that skill of being a cook to share. And each of our locations have different volunteer sign up. So like our Emmanuel Lutheran Church, we have a volunteer sign up, and our River City Church has a meal train, and St. Paul's has a meal train, and Beautiful Savior has a sign up genius. And all of them are linked up into the winter shelter volunteering on the Council for the Homeless webpage. All of them are together, and you can click into there. And what's kind of cool about our SOS shelter is that each one of those 3 locations have 3 days or a single day. So Beautiful Savior has Sunday through Tuesday, Emmanuel Wednesday through Saturday, and Wednesday through Friday night, and then Saturday is River City. And so if you have a day of the week that works for you, then you can dial in on that. And or just a different area of town if it's kind of closer to you by location, that too is also available. And then yeah, it's always nice. So when we talk about like blankets and other types of things that are needed, we also have an Amazon wish list that, to where it doesn't always have to be, again, that hands-on, place to be. But then again, we do also have some of those opportunities like we were talking about earlier about through just being able to be hospitable and have that hospitality around the meal and helping, the space feel like there's people to listen and to have conversations around. And so, yeah, it's an awesome way to allay your fears around homelessness. And I think sometimes a lot of people have gotten to know folks in really authentic ways to be able to learn about their journeys. And I think sometimes people find out that there's more alike than different. So some people were still connecting to work. Some people are still connecting to school. Some people are still, have their children that they're calling and getting connection with. And so, there was always these, the ability to have conversations and be able to let people know that they're not alone in these times in the situation. Last year we had the blessing of having a Christmas party of a Heights Neighborhood Association. And so like in one area of the church was a Christmas party, and in the other area of the church was the shelter. And we were able to kind of share with the fact that, they knew that we had dinner, and everybody was able to share dinner together and get to know each other in a regular sort of way across the dinner table. And so again, getting to know people who are in your neighborhood and what's going on has been a big part of the vibe that happens here, in the SOS shelter.
Absolutely. I saw some fun Halloween pictures yesterday as well. Some of the, some of the shelters. All right.
And I'm going to say the Saturday morning pancake breakfast that Pastor Adrian hosts most Saturday mornings is the highlight of a lot of people's week. So it's fun to do that.
Absolutely. Who doesn't love pancakes? All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to Guy, my wonderful colleague from Council for the Homeless. Guy is our program coordinator at the Housing Solutions Center. So if you come by, he will oftentimes be the friendly face that folks will see right away. And Guy also is the person who gets to receive all of the donations of supplies for folks, and not just in the winter. Actually, I mean, we get them during the summer heat waves, and even if we have a smoke event or something. There's just all kinds of times now, it seems like, with weather. But Guy, I wanted to give you the opportunity to just talk to the folks tonight about what it means to receive those community donations. And, we put those, we sort of put the call out into the universe asking for help and the donations of things, but you actually get to receive them, and who do they go to, and what is that experience like?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we get donations through a couple different ways. We also have an Amazon wish list that we've got it kind of sorted. Top of the list this year will be some cold weather items, which are really important. I love giving those out because it's so much need, especially like days like today. It's deceptively cold. Just being able to hand those out builds a connection with our clients, and so when they come in from the donations, we'll be able to divvy them up. We put them in the Ziploc bags and create little snack packs and hygiene kits for our outreach teams to go out in the community and introduce themselves to folks and help build that relationship and that trust. Because we're asking these folks to really be vulnerable with us and share things that are not easy to share. Sometimes they're their worst experiences. So when we could build that trust and relationship, it's so valuable and it means a lot. And it just seems like a small gesture that a lot of folks maybe not connected in the community or don't have shared experience, maybe take for granted. So yeah, we really appreciate all the donations that we do get. I could speak from my experience here at the Housing Solutions Center, working the front desk, being able to have those to offer here at the HSC is nice too, because I have regular folks coming back, and I may not see them for a month, but they come back, and knowing that we have these things for them, blankets, gloves, wool socks, things that will keep them warm and get them through another night. So I just appreciate everybody coming back, and I enjoy meeting everybody too. And it's just really, there aren't enough words really. It's just, it seems like a small thing, but it is essential. So.
I bet nobody saw that donating hand warmers or socks or mittens actually would be a trust builder. That is something that we just take for granted, but like the fact that it's an opportunity to say yes to something right away, to humanity, to comfort, to dignity, to hope. It's such a nurturing thing to be able to do. And so, yeah, thank you to anyone who's donated in the past or is thinking about it, taking a look at those wish lists. Those are, they're trust builders, with folks. They start to break down some of those, tough times and experiences that have put up walls for people. And so it sounds small, but it's so, so critical to the work that is being done. Yeah, thank you. Right. Okay, I have one last question as we wrap up tonight, and this is for everybody. I'll go around the room. What are you most looking forward to this season? As we get started, you know, as you've seen here, there's some orientations going on tomorrow, actually. But also, you know, yeah, is there like, or if, you know, or a favorite memory that you'd like to share from previous years? And I'll start with Adam and Ryan.
Um, a smooth start would be great. uh, so yeah, smooth November and all the shelter beginnings for the winter portions of it. And you know, I know that there's been a lot of growth of homelessness in the area, and we're able to see people struggling in different ways. You know, I hope and pray for you know, a calm season, and that we're able to meet the needs of those. I know that we're like tomorrow we're going to be going in and training around de-escalation, and we're going to be training around safety and some more things like that. You know, I hope for a supported season, and so that way we can continue to learn how to connect people to these services, and kind of like, you know, in the chat, more housing. I hope for more housing, and I hope that, you know, with this next season that we'll start continuing to see these new apartments opening up, and that we're able to connect people to that. So that's what I'm, you know, hopeful for, is for a successful, safe season, and we will connect people to more housing, because it takes steps into it. You know, it's all of these stages are important, and so hopefully we won't need as many shelter beds in the future.
Thank you. Brian. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
Yeah. Wait, you want to skip me? No, don't skip
No,
me.
no,
I wanted to say that I'm with Ren on a smooth season. Um, my my favorite memory is honestly when I go into, so I regularly will go into the SOS and St. Paul's later in the evening, while at, you know, 8 o'clock at night or something like that. And my favorite thing is when the volunteers and the guests don't know who I am, and I get treated like a guest, and I'm over and over asked if I need food, or, you know, re-talked to, like, you know, re-checked in with, because it feels like I need something, you know, when I'm just kind of sitting in the space, listening or breathing it in and feeling it out. And I mean, it happens every season. And so we will love new volunteers coming in. So then I get to come in and sneak in and meet you. I love the home cooked meals, and I really am looking forward to this is our fourth season of doing the SOS, and our third for going into our fourth year of doing the St. Paul's as well. And we've built lots of beautiful relationships, and lots of folks have gone into housing, and so we want to continue that and keep being successful.
yeah, thank you so much. How about you, Brian? Any favorite memories, or just what you're looking forward to for this season?
Sure. You know, the memory that always pops up is we had a family in a few years ago, and it just happened to be the little girl's birthday, and it was so cool watching. I mean, Adam kind of tapped into it a little bit. There's, man, human nature just takes over, and everyone just kind of rallied to provide this amazing birthday party for this little girl. And honestly, it was nothing to do, even the volunteers. I mean, it was the guests that just kind of overtook, and some ran over to the Winco nearby, and before we knew, we had a birthday cake, and just it was amazing. It was beautiful. And that's what I always look forward to. I look forward to, you know, I'm in another season where some volunteers have kind of gone on to greater I wouldn't say greater things, but other things. And they're doing outreach work in our community year round now, so they can't commit to as many hours. So it's training up this new group of people and just seeing how their hearts are going to be touched by. I mean, we all of us on this panel have been there, where there's just something amazing that happens when you give of yourself. And when I see that with the new volunteers that step into that role and just watching their hearts get touched, it's just truly amazing. So that's why we do what we do, is just love on people. So yeah.
Absolutely. How about you, Jane?
Yeah, you know, it's one of my, it's a recurring actually memory, but it's when I was very first at St. Andrew, probably one of the first shifts that I worked, and they didn't let me do very much because, you know, who knows what I might have done, but they did let me open the front door. And so when it was time to, you know, invite the guests in, I opened the front door and there was a line of people, you know, in various states of up and down, sitting and whatever, and they're all waiting. And I turned around and I said, "Hey, good night, how are you?" And they just kind of looked, and I realized how, at that moment, how myself often walking down the street avoid, you know, kind of look away or not. And I thought, this is probably the first time today, maybe, that someone has noticed them and said, "Hey, I'm glad to see you. Come on in. It's time to come in." And that really stuck in my mind, and the experience for me, and the surprised look on their face, because it was probably one of the first nights, you know, so they probably hadn't been there, you know, a long time. And it's been one of my biggest values, that I want to be sure that volunteers are noticing and reading and recognizing, and not just getting tied up in the grind of doing what you're doing, serving the food or whatever. So, and they do, but it's an amazing thing to be shocked by that.
Yeah, it's so poetic of just life in general, right? Like, it's hard work, it's tedious at times, but you know, it's also just like you have those moments of just humanity and connection and magic, and then you get hooked for 21 years. All right. Well, thank you so much to all of you. Thanks to all of our attendees tonight, especially as we kind of work through a little bit of a difficult situation in our chat. You know, it's just real life, you know, and it's okay, you know. This is why we're doing this. If anything, it just reinforces why we're doing this. So, if I could indulge in just one moment in sharing what this amazing group of folks did last winter, I'd like to share that severe cold weather was called 36 times last winter. I mean, I think the last winter was a pretty typical winter. And more than 700 people, including 93 children, were provided with a safe, warm place to sleep, with a meal, an opportunity for showers, hot food, and connections to more services to help them resolve their homelessness. So just big shout out to this group of folks, and to all of you for caring enough about this issue to come to this webinar tonight and talk about this issue. We really do appreciate you all. And thank you. And keep an eye out for your email with all the links. I know lots of links were shared in the chat tonight, but as always, we'll have a recording of this webinar on our website up in the next day or two. You can feel free to come back and check it out. If you want to share it with anybody, please do. It's go time. As you know, tonight's opening night for some folks, and the rest of them are opening up in a couple weeks. So here we go again, and again, I just want to thank everybody, and I hope you all have a lovely evening. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.